Recording in progress.
Okay, great. Director David, how's your sound?
Good. Can you hear me okay, Chair?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just going to see, do we have new Denver with us? Oh, no, that's public server. Can you launch on chat for Paisley to join or McCusp as well? Okay, and so we're ready to roll, but Director Graham did have one more question on emergency services, and I'm just going to see Dan's online. Let's see if he's actually there. Dan, are you there? Sige? Okay, we got a thumbs up. So ask your question. Go ahead, Director Graham.
Okay, thank you. So through the chair, so going back to the A101 emergency consolidated services slide that we had up last, I was asking about 591, the accumulated operating surplus of $176,644. And maybe Stuart for the record can just, because I would have expected to see that in prior year's surplus, and that's why I was confused with Jen saying it was minus out somewhere else or something like that. So
yeah, through the chair, when we have an accumulated operating surplus in a line item there, that usually means that it's money that's been set aside that's not going to be spent. And there's probably two reasons to do that. One, it's earmarked to be spent in a future year. So say we had a grant application, 3-year grant project, and we got $300,000, and we're thinking we're going to spend $100 a year. We would put $200,000 in the accumulated operating surplus, have $100 elsewhere in expenses. But what should happen is if you see a line with the accumulated operating surplus, you definitely should see that in the next year's prior year surplus, because the expectation is we're not going to spend it. So therefore, we should be rolling it forward to the following year. So you'll see there's probably the miss in that A101 budget from last year, where we had $176,000 accumulated operating surplus. That should have shown in the prior year surplus for 2026 in the 5-year plan.
One second though, someone has their computer on? Who I can hear Stuart through another computer.
That would be it with non-combustible.
It's over it's Dan's office.
Dan, can you mute just for a second?
When you hit 4 feet, you don't have.
Okay, great. It was Dan. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Graham, go ahead.
okay, so one supplemental, which is that in Dan's presentation, he talked about the emergency response column. In there, there's $1.1 million, and then there's a credit for $1.1 million, and that is he referred to it as Service A121. There is no Service A121. It ends at A120.
Through the shared service, A121 is a brand new service, and that's for the recoverable expenses for EOC activation. So we don't budget for that service, and so it's a new service we just started this year.
So it's to separate it out so that we can see what was actually recoverable based on emergency. So it's another allocation service to not have it housed somewhere where it's not identified as recoverable expenses.
But it will be there will be an A121 page, like for transparency purposes in the next budget, correct?
Yes, through the chair, I'll have to look and see whether these recoverable amounts need to flow through that. If they do, then we would probably add that page. But we generally have not budgeted for EOC activations. We assume zero. So there won't be any expenses in there. So it would be basically, if we're to do that, it would be 2 line items, basically the recovery of last year's EOC activation amounts.
Dan has his hand up, so I'm going to go to Dan. Go ahead, Dan. You're muted.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just wanted to speak to Director Graham's first question. I had a look in Planner, and what I'm seeing is that the prior year operating surplus came from 2 different projects. One was a Sellis Creek fuel treatment that had money left over within that for I think it was $46,000, and then $130,000 that was for the Fire Smart program. So it might just be a error in how we've tracked it from 2025 into 2026 within the grant specified line. So if you look at UBCM CRI Fire Smart on the table that I provided, there's $1,060,990 that is through grant specified. So it might just be in how we've tracked it from year to year that we'll make sure that we clean up for the final budget.
Okay, so now we will go into, I think GIS was next, S102. And are you leading that one yet?
Through the chair, yes, I'll just go through the presentation, and then we have staff online that are able to or available to answer specific questions related to the next three services.
Okay.
It should be, yeah.
So GIS S102, your requisition increase is $93,000, about 20%. This is driven by a few items. $40,000 reduction in prior year surplus. $47,000 increase in salaries and benefits due to extension of a term position and plus inflation. $32,000 increase in general admin fees, which is basically a correction from the previous year. And then this is offset by the $40,000 reduction in consulting fees. As you're aware, we did a GIS strategic plan in 2025, so that was that $40,000 that's spent this year. And operations are stable. There's a high demand for GIS services throughout the organization. And at the same time, we're working on upgrading and updating the required Esri system. And so that limits some of our resources. So that'll continue beginning of 2026. And asset management, GIS involvement of that will kick off in 2026. Just note about asset management. There's been a fair bit of questions, discussions about it, where we're going with that. So our plan for December is to have a presentation, including the budget for asset management. We can have that discussion in December. Okay, and I talked a bit about the ArcGIS upgrades, which will complete next year. And then a small capital project for the RDCK equipment is included in the budget. So any questions on GIS?
Cunningham?
Sure, what's RDCK? Through the chair, real-time kinematic adjustment. Yeah, I read that. I don't know what it is.
It's through the chair. It's, and Michelle could probably speak to this as well. But from my understanding, it's like radar technology for mapping water system pipes, things underground, stuff like that is my understanding. But Michelle is online. Maybe she could address that as well.
Yes, to the chair. The RTK is a GPS equipment, so high accuracy GPS equipment that needs to be upgraded this year.
Director Graham, go ahead. Oh, sorry. And we'll add David off. Can you mute until we call on you? Thank you.
Okay.
Director Graham, go ahead.
I'm just trying to wrap my head, sorry, through the chair. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how we had actually anticipated like a significant drop in our requisitions from our plan from last year. We had gone from the $333,000 requisition to $282, and now we had the overall budget going from $726 to $551. And now we're going the other way here, and I see that you've got your explanation of your 40K prior year surplus, the increase in salaries and benefits, and the increase in general admin fees. So I just think it's quite a ways out.
Stuart has a response on
To the
that.
chair, one of the things that I'm still confirming after looking at this budget is we are, you can see the increase in salaries there from 25 to 26. That term position is related specifically to 911, the 911 next gen implementation and the support that GIS is provide to that. We do have a grant that's supporting that, and I haven't confirmed yet if that grant is in the revenue portion of this budget or if it is in fact in that $300,000 transfer. I don't believe it is. I think that it still needs to be included in there, and that could be upwards of $60,000. So once we confirm that, we'll update this budget, and I'm hoping that it's not included there, and it'll drop those requisitions back down.
Director Davidoff, can you mute until we call on you? We do have you on the list. Thank you. Lockwood?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, through the chair, so when I look at the budget, 75,000 is what, I think Nelson contributed. How is that going to be in 2 years absorbed by the rest?
Through the chair, that's a good question. The work in GIS has grown. I think that it would benefit the board, and because Nelson's not leaving the service until the end of next year, we do have a little bit of time for that. But I think it would be good for the board to understand the true scope and what GIS does, not only for the organization, but generally speaking for the public and the stuff that we're maintaining internally. Because I don't think that there's a great understanding on that. Part of that discussion would be, what do we do specifically for the city of Nelson? And again, Michelle could speak to some of the specifics, but in terms of specific support of Nelson, my understanding was they used to get about, or they still do maybe, 2 days of staff time a week. Looking for Michelle to nod or shake her head at me. But they would get some dedicated staff time, and I don't know what that looked like. So the actual cost related to the city of Nelson's contribution is definitely not one for one. There's going to be some cost that the other participants are going to have to absorb if the service level stays at the same level. So I think that over the next year, we're going to have to bring that information to the board and say, here's what GIS does. Are there things that are discretionary that the board could say, we don't want you to do those anymore, so we're going to fall off and the cost is going to disappear? Or is it something where you want to keep to maintain all the work that GIS does do? And in that case, it would be a matter of the participants absorbing some of those costs.
Okay. I'm just going to see if Michelle wants to add to that, and then I'll go to your supplemental. Michelle, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just add that, sorry, through the chair, that, the City of Nelson and other municipalities receive what we call like the GIS core services. And that is maintaining all of the assets, the data assets, the web mapping tools, and all of the other tools that, provide efficiencies within the organizations. And so, that the amount of time that goes to the City of Nelson does vary a little bit, but those core GIS activities that kind of overarch the whole organization, won't really change much. So it will require some kind of, understanding from the other participants and possibly absorbing some of those.
Supplemental?
Yes, please. Through the chair, is there a possibility that we actually have this sitting in front of us like in around January, so we have some time to absorb it to be able to learn how we're going to absorb it? And the reason I use June. I said January, June. I saw the scared look.
Much more reasonable.
I saw the scared look. Is because then we're not in summer and we're not getting into September where it's UBCM, and then we're not right into budget season. It just gives a little bit more time. So I'm just wondering if by the June board meeting that we could have something that.
Yeah, through the chair, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Director Davidoff.
Yeah, thanks. Some of my questions were already asked and answered, and I'm hoping that there is a pretty large error somewhere in this budget because, you know, a $92,000 increase in GIS, and that's not even accounting for the city leaving. I don't think any of us anticipated anything near this. And particularly when we know our ratepayers are not going to be happy seeing this. So somehow I guess my question is to the CAO, like, how did we end up with a 28% increase? Like, and it just doesn't seem.
Okay, Director Davidoff will have CAO answer.
Yeah.
Do recall where we were at in this process. This is not set in stone numbers. Go ahead, CAO.
Well, through the chair, I think that, you know, obviously the $32,000 increase in general admin fee, that was related to something that should have been in the budget last year. You know, so I don't like the implication of an error being in the budget right now, but I will admit that that was an error from last year. We're still working through this. Like I said, there's something that I've got a question on that we're trying to get confirmation on. But, you know, $40,000 in prior year surplus that was there last year. So right off the bat, we're going up $40,000 regardless because you were using that surplus to offset taxation last year. And then you've got the $32,000 in admin fees, which again was a break last year for this service. Yeah, other than that, it's, you know, it's something that we're working through. It's November 13th and this is the first draft.
Yeah, Chair. So just a comment, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be asking questions moving forward on what we can do to minimize this impact. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. I think it's really important to remember we ask for early budgets, which mean they are not accurate and there's a lot to figure out. So ask your questions, but don't assume this is the fact of what it will be in March. Very early budgets. Sorry, Stuart.
Yeah, and through the chair, you know, this is a service that at least for 2026 includes everybody except for the city of Castlegar. It's got a budget in the $300,000 to $400,000 range in terms of requisitions. So a $500,000 home last year paid $8.50 for GIS. The $40,000 increase in the prior year surplus would cost that same $500,000 home 85 cents. So I'm not saying that every dollar isn't important and we've got to try to cut where we can. But when you're looking at this budget, in order to make an impact for the taxpayer, you're talking about probably $200,000-$300,000 before they even start to see something, right? So yes, we want to make sure that we're reporting things accurately and we're going to be looking into all that information. We keep a reserve in this service for those $30,000 equipment. It's not something where we're jacking taxation every 6 or 7 years when something like that comes up. But I want to make sure that we're looking at it as we can best benefit the taxpayer. And this service, all things considered, for the value that it provides, not only organization, but the RD as a whole from a public facing perspective, does not cost the average taxpayer that much money in and of itself. And I know that there's a lot more to that conversation, and I always say there's a lot more to regional district taxation, but in order to make an impact in this specific service, you're talking about big dollars that would end up crippling the service in terms of its functionality.
Dr. Jackman.
Yes, thanks. So, yeah, what can we look at? We may have to review differently for next year. Traditionally, and this is really a crude analysis, we got kind of half of the money for the service from other services and the other half from requisition. There was a public benefit and stuff for the requisition part. So sort of targeting Director Lockwood's June thinking. What I'd like to see by then is what is changing and an analysis on that. So we're doing a lot of asset management. We had all these services tabulating. We have so many doors, so many windows, so many square feet roofs, so much of this, so much of that, all equipment, chillers, whatever, rec complexes, fire halls. Incorporating all that data into GIS is going to cost money. And that should all be costed back to the rec complexes. So whether Nelson or Castlegar are in GIS or not, they should be paying, along with all the other services or areas paying into rec, they should be paying part of the GIS, not because it's the public good or the support for the individual community, but because it's the support for the shared service. all the fire halls, which will have a higher hit on rural, but that's fine. Rural fire halls are great for rural people. We should pay whatever it costs to take all that data, incorporate it into our GIS system. So I'm hoping by June, we will see that analysis. Maybe we'll start to see the taxation portion of this should maybe be a third of the total budget. Because we're gonna go from 50-50 to projected taxation being about 59% of the revenue and other services 41. Maybe that should be flipped. Maybe honestly, we should have 2/3 or more of the cost paid by other services because we're building this asset management database for those services. And then we'll find out the remainder in taxation may not look so brutal. And you'll only pay because your service needed GIS support for its long-term asset management. So by June, I don't know if that's reasonable, but tweak our thinking.
Did you want to speak to that?
Through the chair, I'm just looking at the breakdown of $300,000 transfer to GIS from other services, and unless Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see a charge to asset management. So that amount will likely increase, and when we come with the asset management presentation in December, we'll show the asset management budget and where those costs are going to go next year and how we've allocated that. So yeah, it's a good point, and what's difficult to project right now is the number of GIS hours that are required for asset management next year. So we're gonna have to take our best guess, and include it in the budget, and then flow it through asset management, and then the total asset management cost will flow through all the services that have assets that require asset management.
Perfect.
And through the chair, I think that the biggest unknown for that right now, like you have said, is the hours that GIS is going to require to spend on asset management, because he's already sat down and there's been a development of how we're going to allocate the asset management costs. So not including GIS, our asset management coordinator and the costs associated with that position, the potential software purchase that we might need to do. We've already got an allocation method ironed out in terms of how those costs are going to be allocated. So I don't think June is by any stretch unreasonable to have that nailed down. And we'd like to even have it nailed down for the 2026 budget, because there's going to be some support. So 2026 might be a little bit of a dart throw, but we're going to have to make sure we're properly allocating. Again, the service has to pay for the costs for the services that it's using within the organization, be that GIS, HR, finance. So we've got to allocate those costs out appropriately. It can't sit in this service on its own to support services.
The directors, I do want to propose that we actually move the planning budget to December meeting, given we're only halfway through our agenda, and we will see a work plan from planning at Rural Affairs in December. So does anyone disagree with that? Nelson, just because I saw you sitting there, I thought maybe I'd mention that was the plan. Thank you. We're roughly half an hour per budget, so this is my timing estimate here. So moving planning. Did you have an issue with that?
No issue.
Okay.
I just wanted to qualify though that, or if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these numbers are just really need to understand what's changing here, why it's costing so much. But my question is around the RTK unit. How important is that unit? Can you rent one? Can you hire one? How many hours did it put in last year? Or how important is that? Because it sounds like we got to keep spending money on it. So when we approach this again, just know I'll be asking those questions.
Sure. Michelle can speak to what it's for. I believe we're using a reserve for that purchase. Michelle, do you want to? How essential is the RTK unit?
The chair. So the RTK unit has been very important over the last few years, or last probably 10 years plus, for the environmental services departments and water services. We are using the drone a little bit more now, so there's less, less, I guess, wear and tear on that RTK unit, but it has not been replaced since 2017. And it's, it's at the end of its life at this point, and there is still a need for that unit.
Well, you're making an assumption that I know what it's for and what it does. I don't. I know what a drone does because I fly one. But what does an RTK do that the drone can't do, particularly if you have LiDAR on it? So
go ahead, Michelle. I know she she did provide some of that earlier, but go ahead, Michelle, maybe a bit more detail, like at the landfills, you're using it to measure depth, different things like that.
Yes,
Go
so,
ahead.
yeah, through the chair. So the RTK GPS is a high accuracy GPS unit. So at times, like this year, it was used to calculate the wood waste piles at resource recovery sites. It's also used during laying of new utility lines, things like that, to accurately determine where property lines are and things like that. Also locating lines, things like that. So just really high accuracy GPS.
Good, thank you. And perhaps we could replace the cost of new drones. But it sounds good.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
We will have further discussion.
Yeah, okay. It's okay, Michelle, thank you. Any other questions at this time? Okay, let's move into building inspection, which are you going to present or is Eric going to present?
Unless Eric wants to.
Through the chair, it's no skin off my back either way.
Okay.
So we'll have Yev present and then we'll just call on you or put your hand up if you want to respond to something, Eric.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So S-103 building inspection, there's actually a requisition decrease of $155,000, 14%. This is primarily driven by $130,000 increase in the prior year's surplus, a swing from basically a prior year deficit to a prior year surplus. And so we projected a $27,000 increase in building permit revenue next year over the prior year. $90,000 in capital expenditures planned for 26 for 2 hybrid SUVs to replace aging equipment. Installation of mobile Starlink in building inspection vehicles with fully utilized field devices and for improved safety check-ins. And then work is going to continue on the pilot program for BC provincial government for online building permit application process.
Ready for questions? Okay, Grant and then Jackman.
2 questions, thank you through the chair. So the first question is regarding the numbers in the 2025 budget of this $930,000 in user fees. Like we're at November now, so how accurate is that?
Eric, do you have that one? Go ahead, you unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. It's a bit of a forecast right now, that number. So we're not through the end of the year right now, but we haven't slowed down. And at this time of year, I do instruct admin staff to contact permit holders that have not picked up their permit yet, so that we try to capture everything that has been done this year and received that this year. So it's an ongoing right now, and but we're not seeing a slowdown right now at this time of year.
So we don't currently have what the revenue is.
Well, we're not. Yeah, through the chair. Thank you. We're not finished the year, so everything's kind of a bit of a forecast right now.
Are we anticipating being on track?
Yes, thank you through the chair. We are anticipating being on track. If not a potential surplus, I can't bring people in to pay for their permits. So that's all we can hope for right now. We'll have a better lens on this towards into early December.
You have a supplemental?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Through the chair. Question to staff is we're transferring in 2026 $90,000 from reserves, but when I look at our reserves, we had a balance of 47.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Are you speaking to which reserve? For general vehicle or which one?
We only have one line of reserves on our financial plan, and it says reserves balance, opening balance. Total reserve for the service for 2025 is $47,317. But we're in our plan for 2026, we're transferring from reserves $90,000. We don't have that.
But through the chair, that's the vehicle reserve for the two hybrids. So that's actually coming from the S100 where the vehicle reserve lies.
Not the built-in reserve.
And through the chair as well, that transfer from reserves that we forecast for 2025, that's not probably, most of that's not going to occur in 2025. So we basically delayed the purchase of some equipment into this year.
Jack?
Same question as the last one. I thought all our small passenger vehicles were covered by a reserve, and so you answered that. That's
Okay.
reserve.
Any other questions for building? Oh, Vandenberg, yes, go ahead.
So I love new technology, there's no doubt about it, but just want to make sure that using Starlink Mobile as a way of communicating with your devices, and then there's a pilot program for online building permit application processes. Is there a cost built in for that, or is that just part of your everyday? Go up and fire a Starlink and where you go?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. So when we're looking at the Starlink that you're seeing, currently the building officials have a device named Zolio that we pay a decent monthly fee for. So they have a device where we don't have cell service for safety activation. We also have another new safety line monitoring app that's on the building official's cell phone that has been programmed through HR. So when I looked at what we were paying for the Zolio satellite tracking, the fact that we have a new device, and also the fact that for efficiency's sake, a lot of the building officials, due to the lack of cell service in the region, they're not able to complete their field inspections on site. They do their inspection, and then they have to come back to the office and do the report kind of almost twice, because they've done it once handwritten and then they have to transcribe it into our system. So with the Starlink system in the vehicle, this is hopefully going to reduce and eliminate the need for the satellite tracking device for safety, so they can solely rely on the device that's on their cell phone, having connectivity everywhere they go, and as well being able to complete their inspection reports prior to leaving the job site. So that efficiency will hopefully show up back in the office, where they're not having to do their work twice at times because of that. With respect to the pilot program, we were approached by the provincial government, one of a few municipalities in the province, to volunteer some of our time to pilot this Archistar project for AI submissions of drawings. And it's an ongoing thing that's probably going to take, in my opinion, maybe a year or two to evolve. But there's no cost to that pilot program, and no anticipated cost at this time right now.
Good. Hewitt?
Thank you, through the chair. For the permits that you're currently seeking payment for, can we safely assume with the accounting treatment that was applied last year, because they haven't been paid for yet, it's highly unlikely that any service will have been provided, so those funds would end up deferred to the next year or become surplus, correct? Because there was no because I recall a conversation at the end of last year when we were going through budgets that the funds were coming into income when they were actually earned, and were offset against expenses that were actually done. So where we are right now in actuals might be what the number is.
Speak to that.
Stuart, or yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No,
Yeah, through the chair, actually great question regarding that. And so what we're doing for budget purposes, our budget's on a cash basis. So this is actually the cash that we're going to be received for permits this year. And when we consolidate everything and the auditors do their math consolidation, we reversed some of that revenue and put it away for prior year servicing. So we haven't changed the way we approach that here, and we've just left it on a cash basis for now. But it's certainly a consideration we would have to have for the future. If we were to do it right away, I think we deferred about $400,000 on consolidation last year. If we were to do that now would basically mean the taxpayers would have to come up with $400,000 if we did it on a non-cash basis on the statements. So we're just keeping it cash to be consistent with the past on these statements.
Thank you.
Good.
And through the chair for information, our permit fees are $915,000 as of right now.
So we've exceeded our budget.
We're over budget for the year as of today on a cash basis.
Oh, that's good news. Jackson, you had a supplemental, just checking there's no other. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the prior year surplus shows 50 and the contribution to reserve, back to reserve is 50. That we remember we have policy, we'll split whatever the actual surplus is, half. We replenish that now skinny $47,000 stabilization reserve. So what Stuart just said, we have another 10,000 to share between those, could end up with 20,000 by the end of the year. But that's been our policy to split that moving target to half and half. And we rated our stabilization reserve heavily last year, I think as Director Graham pointed out. So it is time to replenish it.
Sure.
And through the chair, I'm just making note that doesn't include the vehicle reserve that needs to be added to that. The
vehicle is
23, I think 26 in building inspection a year.
5 or 6 vehicles.
Yeah, that's $5,000 a year.
It's another contribution.
Wait for these two to stop having fun.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all good.
Yep.
Vandenberg, I see you doing some waves.
Yeah, we got to ask just a quick question. We came up at GIS, Director Jackman pointed it out. And I was wondering, I had a note here, when will we see this information again? And then June gets thrown out. Wasn't June too late?
June is for how it's going to look when Nelson pulls out of the service. So that's an anomaly with GIS. That'll be a big shift, but we will see these budgets again, likely for these ones, probably January, February. And then in December, we have a few we'll be doing as well that we haven't done yet, such as planning, which we've referred to December. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us more.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So we will plan a consolidated budget in January. So we wanted to go through these budgets first, so we can get some feedback, some directions where we have questions, so we can go back and adjust the budgets, and so our plans to present them in January on a consolidated basis.
My assumption is we will then have our actual budget meetings as a whole, opposed to these early meetings, which are being interjected in the board meeting. So those will be full budget meetings, like we did last year. These are the early conversations we asked for.
So can I just ask, in those meetings, we can make changes then too?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's always what we do.
I don't want to have to get into the whole motion thing again.
You'll see different things depending on recommendations from staff if they need a motion, and at those meetings, that's when we start, there are also more concrete numbers than what we'd be looking at right now. That is also when we start doing motions to move things around, and that is when we do those in those special budget meetings.
Thank you.
Yeah, correct. Is this still the plan?
Yes, sure, that's correct.
Okay. Oh yeah, I had a question. So yeah, the question to you, last year I had noted our community works, which is specifically for rural areas. When we're at this table, municipalities have their own. We have allocated those out by area. And over the last few years, we've talked about what projects we might want to look at using our joint community works to support those. So in reference to the budget, Director Newell and I had put joint community works into the resource recovery budget. I'd also asked that when we moved into budget for 2026, that if there are certain things such as capital things, which if they're not covered by a reserve, or other aspects that would be covered or fall under the criteria of community works, that staff would bring those forward as options when they present budgets. Is that still on your radar?
Through the chair, yes, with either with discussion with directors or at the committee or commission level, that if there's qualifying projects, they will be brought forward for consideration.
Okay, I appreciate that so that we're not having to think, oh, does this qualify for community works? We're gonna rely on staff to say, well, we could reduce the budget if we use community works over here. And it's our call. We still get to make that decision, but it just highlights it for us. Stuart?
Yeah, through the chair, I like the idea of staff identifying opportunities, but perhaps they're sent to each individual director or just to let people know kind of offline.
Okay.
My concern is that staff brings it up in the middle of a meeting and you feel that you're put in a spot that you've somehow you're forced to reduce taxation and use community works funds that you might have had earmarked for something else. So I don't want staff to put you in an awkward spot politically with those discussions. I think those discussions are better had away from the table, and then you can bring it up at the table and say that you're willing to do so.
So the clarifying the process, if there's something within a budget that staff has said that would qualify, they will send us an email in advance to say, here's for your consideration. And as a director, you can say whatever you want back to that. But then when you get to the table, you already know, like I allocate a lot of my community works out to what I can. So do I actually have the funding? What I do, Vandenberg?
Maybe not me, not you, it's fine.
Oh, okay. No problem. Okay, so I had Graham before you, but go ahead, Graham.
Thank you. So two things, E was part of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
And secondly, like I've actually been contacting Stuart pretty regularly here trying to get my totals of my community works grants. So I think that, I don't know if we get a motion or if we can just all be ensured that we do get our up-to-date, accurate community works grant money available, that is an integral part of this budgeting process and that we need to have that information.
Oh, I've been asking Lily and grants and I get it pretty quickly. So can we just get those sent out then?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, and there's some anomalies with Director Graham's. Yeah, we're working on a better way to track what I would call your commitments.
Okay.
Because usually what happens is the grants coordinator gets contacted, they prepare the report, it gets approved by RAC and the board if you all support it, and then it goes back to them and they put it on the sheet to get recorded. Now there's so many conversations going on, and directors might be in a conversation with a staff member to say, oh, I'll probably put $25,000 in community works towards that. And suddenly in the director's mind, they've committed those funds and it should be tracked, but we don't have a process for that to get back to Ashley at this point. Right. So we've got to clean that up. That if there's going to be more casual conversation and commitments on that we've got to develop a process where it gets back and it gets tracked in those sheets. So we're updating those for the two items that Director Graham had indicated. Yeah.
Thank you. You're good? I keep my own spreadsheet for all my grants, and that's where if I see something, I'll be like, do I have the 50,000 I want to put into resource? But staff don't have that info, so that's the gap. Sorry, I started this, but it is an important consideration when it comes to budgets. Pop off, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Community Works funds. Over the years, there were commitments made and passed at rural affairs for a certain use of the Community Works funds of a director. If there's a change in scope, what they're going to be used for, what happens then? Like I'm looking at our fire service. They were dedicated for the review of all the fire halls or whatever. And, we're talking over $100,000 allocated to community works funds for that purpose. That purpose is no longer required. So it's a change of scope. The fire service wants to use those funds, but I agree with them. I'm quite willing to use those funds. But there is now a change in scope. What is the process in change in scope?
So through the chair, building inspection is probably the least likely service to benefit from community works funds. So I have no idea how we got here.
My fault.
But did they simply go back to the funds? The report that came to the board, basically canceling that project with the exception of 4 halls that needed the review, they're going back to the community works fund pot for that rural area.
And if there's a scope change that's specific to a project, the staff will handle that and it'll come back for approval for a scope change. It has to be BBC input.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I raised it as an overall budget request I had from last year. My bad. Who's chairing the chair? I don't know. Anything else on building inspection? That's where we were, right? Okay, you got your second?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think we're done budgets. We're gonna keep moving into the rest of the agenda. Planning will be in December. Okay? Good? Good. Thank you, Yev. 9.3.1, speaking of fire services, we'll just wait for the presentation to come down off the screen. Is that your computer, Yev? No, it's Annabelle's thing. And Kristen, I see you turned on your camera. Chief Feist. I don't see you, but I see your camera's on. Deputy Chief Zayak, hello. All right, we have a report. Either chiefs, do you have anything you want to add to the report or just open it up for questions? Go ahead, Tristan.
Through the chair, nothing to report right now, nothing to add to the report, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great, thank you.
Put it on the floor and then.
Yeah.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah, Jackman with a question, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair. So, right now, Window Lakeview and Canyon Lister personnel are trained and administered through Town of Creston. So I don't know if this would be a question to, Director DeBoon or to our staff. Are we gonna miss out? Is the town able to apply on behalf of those two halls for 30,000 each? Or if we add them to this list, then we then flow the money through the Town of Creston?
Yeah, I'm not aware if we have even applied for those, so I have to go get that answer before I can answer those.
So if I might, I would
Yeah.
rather they be added to the list. If they're punted out because we're not directly training those people, then it's punted out. But if we would at least try to get the money and then give it to the Town of Creston.
Chief Vice, do you have any comment, or Zayak, go ahead.
Yeah, the grant submission deadline has passed, so we are unable to do that at this point. I'm not sure what Creston has done as far as the grant for them, but we did not include those departments.
Okay. So, all right, further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried? Thank you. 9.3.2, this is defined area E, agreement extension. Do you want to move that motion or do you have questions to start?
I want to make a comment before I move the motion that I had some very upset residents from this particular service because they incurred a over 33% increase last year on this contract. So I just would like that sort of for the record. But I will move the motion because I don't think there's any other options.
Okay, moving the motion. Second?
Oh,
Thank you. And discussion? Cunningham?
It went from $437 to $317,000.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Another contract agreement extension, Town of Creston A, B, and C. You have three motions there. Who wants? Oh, wait.
yeah, five, they're
Oh, yeah.
all vote weighted. Can I move them as a block?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
So move.
Do we have a second from those areas or anyone to boom? Thank you. Discussion? Yes, go ahead.
So my kind of understanding is we haven't changed a lot of conversation going on. So are these with CPI adjustments as was the practice the prior year?
Yes, through the chair, they're under the exact terms of the current agreements. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
No other hands up. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Village of Naquest Fire Protection Agreement. We don't currently have a Village of Naquest rep present. Would someone like to move this motion for them? Thank you. Weatherhead Woodward. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All vote weighted. Thank you. Carried. And Village of Selma. Go ahead.
Can I just ask a question? I know that this was at our council meeting just on Monday, and it was stated by our CAO that there was an extension of a year, but this is 6 months. So I don't know if that's gonna matter, but.
Feist, do you have an answer to that?
Through the chair, I had a hard time hearing, but it sounded like there was confusion whether it was a 1 year or 6 month agreement.
Salmo CAO had indicated it was a year, but this motion is for 6 months.
Our discussions were 6 months, but I can confirm that with the fire chief and the cusp.
Salmo.
Salmo.
This is Salmo.
Oh, sorry. Yes, with the fire chief and Salmo.
Supplemental, please. I don't know if it's gonna matter that it's a year, but I just know that the motion that was passed at our table was a year. So that's my only concern about passing this as a 6 months, is that's not what was passed on Monday, November 10th. So
I just want to hold on, please. Stuart, go ahead.
Look, through the chair, some of these are a year, some of these are 6 months, and honestly, the reason is because we are not going to be able to do all of them in 6 months. So we're trying to pick off a few that we can hopefully get a longer term agreement sorted by mid-year, and then the rest of them, like the town of Crescent ones, are going to take longer. We're trying to consolidate them into a bigger agreement, so that's definitely going to take longer. But we can put up to a year.
Up to a year?
Okay, friendly amendment.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So I will
Of
move.
course, you've got Director Hamilton as well. This is his service.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Director Lockwood moved it. She's going to change it to an up to a year agreement. So it gives the 6 months up to a year. That's what the motion's been changed as. It was seconded. It's on the floor. Cunningham.
What do we do about taxation?
Yeah, through the chair, that's a very good question. I think that our budgets for fire would definitely presume an ongoing service level, and that we would get to an agreement by the 6 month point. So we would recommend taxing for the full year's amount. But it's a good point.
Can we not talk over each other, please? You're done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it makes it very difficult. You don't know exactly what it's going to be, but homeowners were buying for it and what the taxation on taxes. And it might be 6 months worth of rent. Or is it retroactive if we go for the year, then we have to pay that back 6 months the next year? I don't understand any of that, and I hope that we will get into that kind of situation.
Lockwood?
Thank you, through the chair. The unfortunate part is this contract ends in 2025 and it wasn't caught earlier. And then, of course, us having to purchase a new fire truck of up to $1 million. So that's where the discussion started, is that how do we make sure that everything is in this contract going forward for the next 5 years? That I will make sure that my staff and the chief hone down on it and try and get it done as soon as possible. But the only reason I had brought it up is because the motion had been passed up to a year. So I was concerned that it was just said on Monday up to a year, and then that's not what this was read. So I'm still hoping that it's done as soon as possible, but I understand your concern about what will it look like. It should have been done in the summer of this year.
Chief Price, do you have anything to add to that?
Through the chair, yes, as you may know, I'm leaving this position, but I am passing this information on to my successor, and going to work with, or advise him to work with Chief Hearn to get this done as soon as possible.
Okay. Currently, the contract as per this motion is for a year, up to a year, and that's what some will pass. So it looks like you've got a year. You're good. Weatherhead on this motion? On this contract?
Well, just on a typo on the last one, just because he used Selmo instead of McCaskill, he's passing this on to someone. I just wanted to clear up that typo on the last report. I didn't mention anything during, but it's just been mixed up with Selmo in the McCaskill report. Just in the
Okay, so this motion is fine. Let's just stick to the motion. Okay, thank you.
He knows.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, grants. Would anyone like to move the motion for discussion? Thank you. Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And community development. Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. With my calendar, I probably got a list. I don't know. CAO, do you have anything in open?
No.
No, I'm good too. Thank you. Rural Affairs Committee.
Rural. So thank you. We had a little bit different meeting yesterday. We did not have any delegations of landowners. We did get two recommendations on bylaws through the committee, and being bylaws, I have to read them separately, I guess. Move them separately. Does you understand them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one, I'll vote. It's dangerous and aggressive dog control service establishment bylaw, or okay, so the title is A, B, C, and H. The first one is A, B, and C. The second one, the title should be for H. So I move that electoral area ABC dangerous dog and aggressive dog, should say dangerous and aggressive dog, I guess. Or dangerous and aggressive dog control service establishment bylaw 3067/2025 be read first, second time.
Is there a second? Thank you. Discussion? Do you need chocolate?
In a minute, yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, also I'll vote. This is for H. I move the electoral area H dangerous and aggressive dog control service establishment bylaw number 3066/2025 be read first and second time.
Second. Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, director's motions. Director Graham, go ahead.
Thank you. So this is an administrative motion, and basically kind of a throwback to when we reorganized Rec 10 and we took advantage of Rec 9's budget. Now we're taking advantage of Rec 9's bylaw. So we're looking to basically take a very old bylaw and move it into the new template that Rec 9 has. So if anybody was interested, they could look at Rec 9, and that's basically what we're seeking to adopt.
You want to move the motion?
I'll move the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion. Devin.
Oh, sorry, I was
Voting?
already voting in favor.
Okay.
You're done.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. I know. 11.2, do you, Director Woodward, want to move this motion for Director Page?
Yes, Director Page would like to have a letter of support for the Youth Climate Corps. There's like a little blurb here from the Youth Climate Corps.
Do you want to just move the motion and then you can speak to it?
Okay, move the motion.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Go ahead and speak to it.
So Youth Climate Corps, there's their bio here. Youth Climate Corps BC is an organization that aims to empower Columbia's youth to take action to address our climate crisis. YCCBC provides paid work and training to young people in climate action projects that impact their communities. YCCBC gets jobs done in communities that reduces emissions, build resiliency, and adapt communities to the changing climate. Youth Climate Corps builds a community capacity by developing and motivating, organizing, and adaptable youth labor force to make climate plans a reality. Young people aged between 17 and 30 work together for 4 to 6 months to build skills, scale up climate action projects, and develop their leadership skills and community networks. And there is a draft letter, but postable by
Angela, she has it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
She knows about that. So we're just looking for a mover and a seconder and a pass on this so that they can support this with the organization.
Okay. It's on the floor. Further discussion. Director Vandenberg.
Yeah, I have spent some time and looked into the good work that the climate group is doing, ambassadors. And there's a couple things that kind of bother me. Number one, I don't know why is it RDCK that agrees that we're actually in a climate emergency. So there's some verbiage within that site that doesn't sit well with me. I have no interest in debating it. But the reasons for I can't get behind. So I just want to point that, put that out on behalf of, my area.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Vandenberg, do you want to be recorded?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it passes. Vandenberg opposed. Director Davidoff, you have a notice of motion, so you can just read the title and Ange will note it for next month.
Yeah, title new fees under the Environmental Management Act. Do you want me to read it or should Angela read it?
No, you're not putting a motion forward. You're only noting the motion to come, so you only need a title. You don't need the motion.
Oh, okay, that's easy. Thanks, Chair.
You're welcome.
Does the board want a reminder on notice of motion?
Tell us about the notice of motion process, please.
So just through the chair, so everyone's available or aware and on the same page, a notice of motion can be entertained at any time during the meeting, unless a motion is already on the floor. So you can, it can be something where you ask the chair to call upon you at any time, and you simply state the topic that your notice of motion relates to, and that's it. And it goes in the minutes, and then what staff likes about notice of motions is that it then gives us a month to help you formulate a good resolution to bring forward for board consideration, and gives us a chance to, investigate or research to the extent that we have a little bit of time to do so. But again, anytime during the meeting, just the title, and then we work on a motion to bring forward for the next month.
As the chair, I'll just add that between Ange and I, we like it during director's motions because it's easier to track that it came from a director and that's where it landed. So yes, it'd be anytime in the agenda. Ange and I prefer during director's motions so we can easily track it. And a notice of motion is, I think you're clear on this, but is not debated at this table or at this meeting. It's next month. So it's just a notice. We're going to do this. Lockwood.
Thank you. As I had spoke about the June, not January, would you rather that in a motion or was that good enough for direction?
I think that's good.
Yeah, no, through the chair, we were planning on doing that anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, we have, just like C-Slack, when people leave a service, there's always the desire to talk about that. So through the chair, we were going to bring that forward.
So, Chair, point of order, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, just clarification from the CEO. In terms of a director could also ask for the agenda to be varied or amended to address an urgent motion. Is that correct through the chair?
Yes, through the chair. Are you referring to a late item? That would require 2/3 vote, and then that motion could be debated at that meeting. Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
So that wouldn't be a notice of motion. That would be a motion. Yeah. So thank you. And we did have one item that I made an error on. Thank you everybody for paying attention. I'm looking at McFadden for pointing it out. When we went through the correspondence, I thought we did have I thought Director Page's motion was for the rural immigration program. It was not. And so we missed that and Newell wanted to speak to it. So Newell, you're on the hot seat. Do you want to do anything with that correspondence?
Yeah, subsequent to Andrea's presentation last month, I'd like to move the following motion that the RDCK provide a $40,000 grant to Community Futures of the Central Kootenay on behalf of the West Kootenay Rural Community Immigration Pilot for the year 2026.
Is there a second on that motion? It's been seconded. It's on the floor. I just want to make sure Angela has it.
Sorry
which
about
service?
that, Ange.
Which service?
Yeah, that's for Stuart to figure out.
Well, you're the one proposing the motion. I think it was general admin previously.
Whatever it was from previously.
General admin, correct? Yeah, so general.
Yeah, and that would be appropriate if I will speak to it briefly.
What's that?
Correspondence.
Oh, correspondence, okay.
And taking off the list, that was just a question that was answered.
Okay. Some motions on the floor. I had hands in the room and then I've got Davidoff online. So Davidoff noted, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And if you look at the statistics in there, we'll see that the entire regional district is represented. Obviously the cities of Preston and Castlegar and Nelson, the more major centers, had more requests from industry or companies or businesses. And I guess as I was thinking about it, our businesses, the property taxes, they pay actually a higher rate than residents. So this is an opportunity for us to show our support, economic support for our businesses, and we'll get into what survey we received a few months ago about business people and their happiness with the regional district. But here would be an example for us to show our willingness to support them at a real grassroots and important level. Thank you.
Thank you. Director David, over to you.
Yes, I would like to refer this motion for a month, and I'll explain why.
We'll explain it first, because once we refer it, we can only talk about referral.
Yeah, because I will explain it then, Chair. Thank you. The Cascard Chamber of Commerce has approached us about this, and the bottom line is that the Nelson Community Futures isn't the only entity that is doing this work, and they are applying for a grant, not for tax dollars, to do this work. So basically, I provided a letter of support for them to apply for a grant to do this work, not for it to be a burden on ratepayers. So I would like staff to investigate this, prepare a report, come back, and make sure that we are not using ratepayer funds when we can do this work through grants. So basically, that's why I'm asking for this to be referred for 1 month, to give staff time to actually take a look at who within the RD is actually trying to do this work as well, and has done it before.
Thank you. Just so you got my pattern on the list too. So I want to clarify a few things from the presentation last month. Once was they are applying for grants. That was clear. They were applying to REDUP. They had a few other grants in there, and then this was a part of that. So that is known. And the second piece is, I don't think this is staff's job to go and speak to figure out who's all doing this. This is a question to Central Community Futures to ask who else is doing this work, and then also the ones you know of. I'm not super comfortable asking staff to go and do research on a project they're not involved in. So,
Chair, can I address that?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so we're committing without a report, without a report from staff, without any investigation, we're committing $40,000 of general administration funds. And the key thing is that it's not that I don't support this, but we have to make sure that this isn't being duplicated in another part of the RD, like with the Cascard Chamber of Commerce. Are they competing with each other, or are they working together? So that's why I would like this referred to allow us to look into this a little bit further. And I think a month is appropriate.
I have a speakers list. I'm going to put you at the end for referral, so we can ask. We get clip.
Well, I made a motion. If there's a seconder, Chair, then maybe we can discuss the motion.
Well, no, a motion on referral. You can only talk referral, not the discussion
that's why
you're having right now.
That's why I'm making the referral motions.
I'm saying no because we have a speakers list. I want the speakers to have a chance to speak, and then I'll come back to you for referral. Lockwood.
Thank you. Through the chair to, I don't know to who. I totally understand what Director Davidoff is talking about. My concern with this program is that I know personally 2 people that have gone through the program and have not been supported. And yes, they do pay a lot more taxes unless they're renting. And I would like to know who else is actually doing the program also in the area. I understand that it's not staff's situation, but if Director Davidoff or anybody has the information of where this program is going, because we have lost so many international students in our area for our colleges, that I'm wondering how effective is going without, and why we're supporting the federal government when the federal government and the provincial government are the ones that put forward this program in the first place. Local government, it's just another download. So I'm for the referral at this point also.
Vandenberg?
Yes, I just wanted to add that I have, through the CAO, wanted to put this on the Economic Action Partnership agenda. In Crescent, to have a discussion with them, on it, so I can get a better rounded, sense as to the value of the program. That, of course, has not happened in a short period of time. It's also on the agenda of another committee, so that I can get, an agricultural committee, so I can get feedback on that. So the referral and, or potentially that in my mind would help me, as well.
Okay. McFadden.
Yeah, just as some clarity, and I could be wrong, but to Director David's point, I believe that the program that he's talking about, Chamber, is actually not the same program. It's PNP program, which is a different program. There's provincial nominee program, which is different than the community or the whatever rural immigration program. They're different programs. They do work together. I know that as organizations on some of this program. So anyways, so they're not the same program, they are different. My only concern, looking at the amount of people that it has helped stay is the dollar amount per person of $40,000 for the minimal amount of people that probably stay in our region, the best use of our money for that. I don't know. That I do wrestle with that when I looked at the presentation, though that's a pretty high dollar amount for the couple hundred that it helped. And I'm not sure if that's worth it or not, but on the programs, those are the different programs.
Okay. Papa.
On referral, I'm in full support of referral. One thing that I'm concerned about, what the impact is on the student employment. With us, providing tax dollars to support this program. It's not that I'm against the program, and also what impact has it on housing. And I know the people are already here, but the housing has been taken up by people coming into our country. So I'm really concerned about this, and I'd like to do a little bit more research on it before I either support it or not support it.
Okay. Yeah, so David, I'll back to you. I would say that given some of the things we've heard, you might want to refer this to January for that time to, especially with the economic partnership. I don't think they're going to meet before December. So that was what I wanted to glean before you went to referral. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally appreciate that, Chair. Thank you. So motion to refer to January board.
I second it.
Thank you. On referral. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, refer to January. Thank you. So. Consent agenda. Is there anything in the 12.1 committees and commissions that need to be pulled? Hannah Graff.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed. It's remuneration, not remuneration. Both the agenda and the document, and we adjourned at 11:38 a.m. not p.m.
I thought you guys were having a good old time.
We brought in drinks. We talked about all kinds of things. Anyway, yeah, sorry, I should have caught that before I approved. I was looking more at the meat and potato there.
Okay, thank you.
Small versions. Not great.
Can we remind you, I have to resend that survey question out that would by email if you could get lost. That's for the remuneration committee to consider at our next meeting.
Yeah, through the chair, it's been spelled numerous ways in the correspondence that I've sent to. I've seen remuneration come in one of the comments.
Yeah. The mining area.
Compensation would be clearer, and easier to pronounce.
Okay, so, but yeah, I was gonna resend that survey reminder. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, okay. The rest are good? We're good? For information communication, 12.2, anything we need to pull on those for discussion? Nope, okay. Any questions on accounts payable? Graham, go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. Just one question was the heritage roofing. Like it was $300,000. That wasn't just for this roof, was it? That's the only thing that jumped out at me.
No, through the chair, I think the budget for this week was about 160, 140. Heritage, I think, did our work at the Castlegar complex. Yeah.
I had
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
on accounts payable, the West Kootenay Boundary Regional Hospital District transferred big bucks. Was that one of those money came in the wrong way, or how did that work?
Yeah, through the chair, that's to them, or yeah. So what happened is the municipalities sometimes give us one check for the RD taxation and the hospital boards, then we have to cut a check.
Happened last year.
Yeah.
Good on accounts payable. Okay. We have verbal reports this month. And look at that, I think we have time for them. Looks like someone's excited for them. You can refer, but we did make space for these this month. You guys, we're gonna start. Where's my list? Where's mine? Well, I find mine. How do I know Anne gave it to me. Where did I put it? I'll just use this here. All right, top of the list, Jackman, you're up.
Hey, it's my daughter's 40th birthday today, so I'm heading to Creston as soon as we're done. East Shore is getting quiet, as it always does this time of year, so I'll pass it along to the next.
All right. Director Tierney.
I don't have any reports that I can share with you today.
Okay. Coffee break conversation. Vandenberg.
I wish I should have prepared for this a little bit more, but I will say that working with our agricultural groups, our local ag group was successful in getting partial grant for a vertical hydroponics, which is an amazing thing. Where they're still working on some details, but I think going through is really going to open up a lot of eyes as to the potential of being able to grow vertically hydroponically. So that's really good news. Our chamber, not too long ago, we had the ability to go for a walk and with a survey in hand, to talk to our businesses within the community. And that was really worthwhile. It was a lot of fun to have them allow us to give them. It took 15 minutes to go through these doggone surveys, but once we got going on them and they started telling us their stories about how their businesses are and where they see things going in the future, it was we probably put 3.5 hours with the walk around. It was well worth that time. So if you ever get a chance to do that, it's quite gratifying. And just generally, I'm curling for the first time in about 6 years, which is interesting. We had a conversation at lunch about that. These guys are using their sticks and how unfair it is for us guys to have to push out of the hack. But other than that, that's all I got to say.
I feel like there's a curling rabbit hole. We can go down there, but I'm going to keep going. Dr. Graham.
Thank you. So Director Popoff and I attended the road meeting at the Prestige, so it was mostly the shift into winter stuff, but there was some updates then to Drive BC. So if you haven't been on that platform, you might want to check it out. Cool. Director Newell and I have been pretty busy meeting with Nelson Hydro. There's a 15.98% increase on the rural customers, while the urban customers are 7.83. So we have some very upset residents with that. And we had a public meeting on Saturday at Developer Hall, and it was very mixed up, and maybe Director Newell will talk about more about that, but there was an ad that went out that about pest management plans, and the public perceived that on December 1st, the area ENF were going to start getting sprayed with Roundup. So that was it really derailed the public meeting that we had arranged, but Scott Spencer did well and got through it. I'm working with the Harrah Berry Committee still, just hoping we can make some improvements before 2028 when that WPM contract comes up for renewal. The Balfour daycare is going forward. The septic testing is done. There's an RFP out till the end of the month to select a contractor. Went to the Proctor Cenotaph on Remembrance Day and got to read. And I have a little personal information here. My youngest daughter Sonia donated a kidney in October to a second cousin on my husband's side. So it was quite a thing for our family, and we were all really excited.
Thank you, Dr. Graham, and thank you to your daughter. Dr. Newell.
Oh, thank you. Great. Yeah, the Nelson Hydro meeting was interesting, and FYI, there's a number of people that struggle with the concept of glyphosates and the use of them. So in case you deal with that in your public role, you will find there's quite a lot of people that don't support it. But thank you to Cheryl for organizing the public meeting, and it was a reasonable turnout, and we are concerned about the significant rate hike. You know, I'm only with this the last time I'll say anything about the community works grants, but boy, oh boy, you know, it's really disappointing. But Sproul Creek Trail, the Pulpit Rock Society, they're just a group of people that are looking after Pulpit Rock and what have you, and they took on license of occupation through rec parks and trails to also look after, they do some up in Whitewater, I believe, and then the Sproul Creek Trail, just a brilliant 5-6 kilometer trail, but it's got 3 bridges, you know, cost X number of thousands of dollars to replace those 3 bridges that are at the end of life. And I plan to use community works funds for this local trail that is used by everyone. I was there on Sunday and people just walk by, dogs. And now I've got to see if there's another way I can raise funds to support this. And no disrespect to some of the other things that I would have to use the money for, but this is right in the community right there. Anyway, that's the last I'll say of that. And you saw Nora's report about a prescription and asking for $1 million, 4 million, just 2 million, whatever, for prescriptions in all of our areas. Well, as part of that Columbia Basin Trust Fund, there's also a community-based one, and the local people in the 6 Mile area. There's a group that have come together to apply to the Columbia Basin Trust for $300,000-400,000 to do a series of prescriptions that are locally driven, and then to partner on Fire Smart, etc. So it just kind of dovetails with the bigger picture that we're doing at our end, and probably you guys in Lardo have done tons of it and all of that. But anyway, it's exciting stuff. I wrote a letter of support. It's not on here, so I'll make sure I get it to Angela.
Thank you, Noel.
Yeah.
Director Cunningham.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you for reminding me of Fire Smart. Fire Smart is going to of course, and I'm glad it should, because I think you gotta get a protection. However, I've got a matter of complaint. Apparently, I have a family, well, I do have a family, and they complain because Fire Smart has replaced us for the instructions, and they're in the middle of replacing all their vinyl siding with fireproof siding with and all the rest of it. But they understood they were going to be getting $5,000 at the end of it. So when it got to the part where they asked for the $5,000, this where we got no more money. And that's, I don't know what we're doing here, and I haven't had a chance to talk to staff or anything about it. So I said, well, if they are really out of money, I'm glad we're asking for twice as much next year, because I think that everybody should have the property part of it. And I like it, the fact that, you know, that insurance companies are giving reductions to said that. And my insurance company gives me 10% off because I Fire Smarted my fixed water use. And having said that, the other institution that's happening is that the farmers are in the middle of preparing for the construction of an art center. And the art center is more than just an art center where you would look at paintings and things. It's actually a working and teaching art center. You're going to have a kiln there, and they're going to teach you how to use, for example, as well as almost any of the other kinds of art that it's a group that come out of those of you remember Tiny Lights and remember that we have every June where there's got about a dozen little things happening all around town. So this is an outgrowth of that kind of a thing. And so there will be it'll be an art center to the point that you can learn about any of these arts as well as participate, and there will be some artists in temporary residence, for example, as they learn, and whatever they create will also be available for sale. Right now they're in the properties that are purchased at the old hospital property in Weimar, around the end of town, and the property is being prepared as we speak. And I understand the kiln is the very construction on the kiln, which is separate from the main building. We'll just momentarily, it's a mass timber construction, and the timber is now being seasonally
Good stuff. Thank you. Director Papa.
Thank you, Chair. I've been fairly busy, going through the growing pains of establishing the Spokane Valley Services Committee. And, we're slowly getting there. And the three municipalities, that have directors sitting at this board table have an understanding that the Spokane Valley Services Committee has to follow the procedures of the board procedure bylaw that we have, and it's similar to what we do at the board. The process of putting items on the agenda, etc. So, like I said, it's growing pains through there. What do we put in there? And also what we're trying to establish is a community advisory committee, and that brought to light through our RDCK climate action plan and the meetings that we had. And the feedback we got in the Area H was not enough community involvement in a lot of the services that Area H does provide in Area H in combination with the three villages. So we have in the process of establishing of Area H South Community Advisory Committee for Parks and Rec. And we're moving to the north, and that's going to be in process. We established that, and I'm working with General Manager Sherko on that before he actually retires. We want to get this in place and have it working quite smoothly. So that took a lot of our time. We've also met with Community Futures on that agreement that we have with them, moving forward on what is planned for the $100,000 grant that they've got. And that took a little while. The other two directors that are partners in this met with myself and Community Futures, and we established a plan of action moving forward for the next 2 years. What the REDIP grant will do for economic development in the Spokane Valley. Other than that, that kept me busy.
Thank you. Director Davidoff.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm dealing with a lack of provincial government money on a whole bunch of things that we can't get support for. But dealing with loose horses in Pass Creek, road conditions in Pass Creek, speeding issues in Brilliant, continued conversation with the Ministry of Highways, Transportation and everything else on the degradation of the active transportation network in Shrakers, and they just said a roadway is not an active transportation network. So if you want to do something, local government needs to do it. So there you go. Good news, we got our group motivated and activated to work on the clean up the historic Thrum Cemetery. The gophers are sleeping brilliant, so I'm not getting gopher calls, but still the problem exists. Trying to find creative ways to use community grant funding, and I'm finding the only way to do it, to do projects, is to give it to a municipality or the provincial government. Very interesting. Because there's no dollars for paving the road in Shrakers. And also, we need our wildland vehicles, and I hope we can get UBCM to change its mind, because what are we going to do when the wildfires come and we don't have our wildland vehicles? So that's my report.
Thank you, Director Hanegraaff.
Yeah, so I think I reported a while ago that the Udashania Hall and its property have been sold, and I'm comfortable enough now to say that a new child care center will be going in there. Along with park and playground, and so that's all sort of evolving. We're trying to set up a meeting with the planning department to look at what else can be done at that rather large piece of land that has a lot of possibilities. So interesting times there. The other thing that's going on in Udashania is the city is selling land to Fortis next to the other land that Fortis bought, and people are pissed off about it. So of course they're telling me about it, which I don't blame them. I mean, the city sells the land, they get the profit, they get the taxes, And the residents of Udashenya, nothing personal, it's my friend across the table, but the residents of Udashenya don't see any of the benefit. They see all of the headache and problem. And I get that it's totally legal and all the rest of it, but it just seems really kind of unfair, and I don't know how to address that. So if anyone has some ideas, give me a call. I'd be happy to talk. I also attended Halloween at Robson Hall, which was a great event. And I was shocked at how many fireworks you can get for $1,000. That thing went on and on and on, and the community loved it. I like the way the Robson community pulls together. I'm also told that the Robson Raspberry Improvement District is going to have some meetings with the public to see how they feel about moving to RDCK, moving their water system to RDCK, which it'll be expensive, but carrying on the way they are is expensive too. So I guess ultimately they'll have a decision to make. And the last thing is the RDCK was included as part of the Remembrance Day ceremonies along with the city, the province, and the country. We've been left out in the past, but this time we were included with the replacing and everything. So I think that's important considering it's the Castlegar Robson Legion that puts it on, and Robson is part of Area J. So anyway, yeah, looking forward to a very busy rest of this month, and December looks kind of stupid too. So that's my report.
Thank you, Director Weatherhead.
Thank you. I have the pleasure of joining the lovely people of Edgewood for their Remembrance Day. I was actually really astounded to see how many people had turned out. The Legion volunteers had an entirely full hall of people. It was just unbelievable. They always feed everybody so well. And yeah, the hardworking volunteers are very contagious. They don't ever cease to amaze me. So there's just lots and lots of local initiatives that I'm supporting. And so happy to support them and find really creative ways of supporting and turning challenges into maybe new opportunities or into really good learning experiences for more maybe perhaps apathetic community members who don't get involved. We hope that they will in the future. There's plenty I can't report on, so I will just say that it appears I'm going to be well fed because many of the art organizations I support, I seem to be getting a really growing list of Christmas dinners coming by. Really well fed this year. Yeah. So.
'Tis the season. Director McFadden.
Great. I never know what you guys want to know. Again, Remembrance Day ceremony was great. It's always a great turnout, other than I was a bit disappointed that someone thought it was a great idea to park a truck that had a big, really awful sign talking about the RCMP at the Remembrance Day. And that just disappoints me. Any of the public that's listening, don't do that. Be better. And that it was great. Business walks, we do them every year, twice a year within the district. If you don't do that within your community, through your municipality and your rural director, it's worth doing. We take a full day and do the same thing. Survey is worth knowing where your business community is at. Learned this year that everyone says it is just as good as last year, if not better, in the Casper and region, which is great to know that our business community is doing well. We had our Chamber Business Awards for the Casper District on the weekend, which was also really fun to see that a few of the people who won business awards, specifically Restaurant of the Year and Young Entrepreneur of the Year, were younger immigrants who were just like in tears, over the top, that they are being accepted and welcomed in, and great to hear their stories and such hard workers. That was great. And last thing I'll just tell you, December 6th, 11 to 2, we have our Winter Wonderland for Casper and region down at City Hall. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. So if you're in town or around town, you know, the kids, we love kids events, so come on down. Santa will be there. It'll be great.
Thank you. Director Thabun.
So when most of the regional districts and a lot of the world changed their clocks, we didn't. We never do. So, often I feel inquiries from the media over that, because what's it like to live in a place where you never change your clock? This time it was from CBC North, so I think my interview was from well, entire Northwest Territories. But so they said, well, what's it like? I said, well, it's easy, you don't have to change your clock. Well, what's the drawback? The drawback is, Hillsborough is a pretty small town. People have appointments either in Cranbrook or in Nelson. So every time the clocks change, we have to get used to the idea of really got to make sure we know when that appointment is so we get there in time. So all the other people in the world inconvenience us basically. And more recently, last night, in fact, I went to a meeting of grizzly bear coexistence in our valley, because the numbers of grizzly bears in our valley have skyrocketed, and problems are becoming very plentiful. Livestock is killed, food producers get a lot of the crops. Generous portion is given to grizzly bears now with that human attacks, and we need to find a good way to coexist. And I think the problem is probably unique to our area, because we have so much food focused in a small area, in an area that's right adjacent to the mountains, with dense cover. So the bears are living down there, they're having cubs down there, and because they're well fed, they're having many cubs, and they raise their cubs on the valley floor. And so I didn't run this by the committee, but I'm thinking that if we actually fence off area A, leave the grizzly bears there, it solves the problem for the rest of us. It's kind of like not changing your clock, just leave them in one spot, let everybody else. That's something that I need to pay more review.
If you fence off A, they come up to D, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Dr. Hewitt.
Thank you. Director Hewitt is a hard act to follow. So I took part in Remembrance Day parade and program as well. And the Castle Events Committee, in cooperation with our Chamber of Commerce, are putting on a volunteer fair on Saturday, November 22nd. We had one in the spring, and had requests for a fall fair, so we're doing that. CDT board meeting will be held in Nelson on November 28th, and so that's the public session will be the evening of the 28th. So if anyone's interested, Christmas light up and craft fair are on Saturday, December 6th, and on Friday, December 19th, as a fundraiser for the new library in Castle, there will be a reading of Dickens' Christmas Carol. So, different preference.
Thank you.
And Gertrude is going to be reading something.
Oh.
I don't know who I'm going to be yet. Oh, I told them I only wanted a few lines. That's it.
Thank you. We do not have an attest correct here. I'm just checking the computer, so we'll go to Nelson. Director Woodward.
Thank you. I also I marched in the Remembrance Day parade. And it was somber but quite beautiful, and there was quite a solid crowd, and I think it was the 80th or something like that. So it's been going on a long time. So there was a big crowd, really beautiful speeches. And then also I took my 12-year-old actually to the Basin Food celebration in Murray Hall. And speaking of regional expression of our regional amazingness, I have to say we have a level of quality in our food producers here, specialty food items. Stunning. My son was just like, "Oh my God, everything is so good." And it was really a beautiful experience. And I knew a lot of the people from the market days when I was running the market, so that was wonderful to see people again. People have really, like, the bar is raised. So people are very professional with what they're doing and their signage and their branding and their food quality. It's really come up. So wonderful that that's happening. I was very, very proud.
Get that. New Denver, no. We didn't have a New Denver come on, no. Okay. Director Lockwood.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm with everyone else about Remembrance Day. What was really impressive for me this year is we saw double the size of amount of people and children that came out, which was pretty impressive. And we had Air Cadets and Sea Cadets come all the way from Grand Forks to participate in Salmo, so that was pretty special. We have our Christmas market happening. It's an outside event from 3 to 9 o'clock on our downtown. We have music gonna be happening. Erie Creek Pub's gonna be on outside also. There'll be little fire pits. My next door neighbor here that is decided to sit down there. I'd just like to share that our community has raised $10,000 to put towards fixing up this outdoor skating rink. So it's possible without community works funds. You just have to have a community that wants it bad enough, and if they want it bad enough, they will raise the money to make it happen. So, and I'm part of that, not as the mayor, but as a volunteer in our community. So yeah, that's all.
Good stuff. Dr. May.
Yeah, thank you. Late October, FCM Advocacy Days in Ottawa. Traveled with Director Hewitt, of course. I had the opportunity to meet with Courtney Alberni MP Gord Johns, Edmonton Strathcona MP Heather McPherson. The Rural Forum met with Minister of State for Rural Development Buckley Belanger and the Liberal Rural Caucus Chair Sophie Chattel. They're both very well versed in rural issues and challenges. It was a really good opportunity to build rural engagement and momentum toward the spring fiscal update and subsequent fall 2026 budget. I was scheduled to meet with the Burn and Lake Country, Monashee and Slocan Valley MP Scott Anderson, but he canceled, and apparently he was not even in Ottawa, even though Parliament was sitting. He was attending to other business that he thought needed his attention. I was able to raise the issue of Canada Post and all in the individual meetings and at the Rural Forum. And I suggest that if the federal government is looking for a nation building project, that Canada Post unites this nation more than a pipeline does. Other than that, I attended a community support and organizational meeting towards helping to reorganize and re-own the Valley Voice newspaper. They actually have several people who are interested in purchasing the paper. There was some discussion about potential different ways of organizing the ownership and workflow, possibly a co-op or an investors co-op, and got a few people together to talk about those things further. And other than that, I participated in our 4th monthly silent vigil for peace and justice that has been going on in New Denver and Silverton for the last 4 months. It is a silent vigil. There's no confrontation, no sloganeering, no yelling, but conscious, intentional silence. And we are a group of anywhere between 15 and 30 people each time. And we meet mostly, we hold our vigils on the main street in New Denver. And we've been getting some very good feedback from community members. It is totally non-denominational. People can come or not come. The only rule is that it's silent. And it's really powerful.
Thanks, Dr. May. Dr. Lund?
Thank you. I missed you guys last month.
And yeah, it was just a month where myself and my alternate were not available. I was in transit, but then I missed y'all. And I did did want to comment that UBCM was fantastic this year, had some great meetings, and I will report out written before end of year for you all. In Spokane, we are transitioning back. Our chief administrative officer had been off on mat leave, so she's transitioning back in. So it's when you have the interim CAO, it's kind of like being in a wobbly wagon for the year, but we held things together, and now we're transitioning back to normal operations and sort of getting things in order. And of course, her first week back, we had to finalize, so we submitted 2 grant applications to the Strategic Priorities Fund, one for capacity building for water source and distribution, and the other was for the full scope of the block for our downtown Harold Street revitalization plan. We do have funds for half a block, and we're hoping our business community indicated that they would way prefer not to be interrupted twice. So we're hoping that we can stack those funds and get it all done as one project. So fingers crossed, get it out there. In terms of Spokane, our Halloween food is a blast. We have all the rural kids come into the village, and it's a lot of fun. We have fireworks as well, like Robson, and then hot chocolate at the ballpark, and yeah, it's well attended and a lot of fun. In terms of and then of course Remembrance Day ceremony as well was very well attended. That was nice to see Director Popoff there as well. Our affordable housing project, it went, I think the last time I reported out, it had gone out to tender. And then the costs were above what BC Housing would accept. So there was a value engineering process that happened. And again, fingers crossed, we brought them down, and we're hoping for final project approval funds be approved in November so that we can get the shovel in the ground this year to keep all of the pricing intact. So again, everybody put your fingers crossed. It's been a long time in coming, so I'm really hoping everything comes together and doesn't collapse. And that's the other piece. They're interforest planning some logging outside of Spokane, Village of Spokane. So there's been a lot of community concerns and questions and surrounding that work as well. So I know myself and Director Popoff as well been fielding concerns, questions and concerns from the community, and trying to build our understanding of what's happening. And I think that's it. Never a dull moment.
Thanks, Director Lum. Okay, last on the list, we attended the Lardo Valley Fire Resiliency Committee that represents 7 different communities up in the Lardo Valley, and they work together to focus on where they need to apply for funding. So you'll see in my letters of support, I have 3 different projects that I'm just providing a letter of support. I also have grant allocations going to those projects, and really grateful our staff attend those meetings, whether it's Jesse Lay, our regional fire committee, regional fire person, and Nora was there as well. So really grateful for their presence. Also attended the Links. Links is a Lardo Valley organization that does quite a bit. Their long name is Lardo Valley Opportunity Society, and they focus on economic development and supports for that area. They originally started because CBT was getting so many requests from all these different one-off societies that Links was created to umbrella the whole valley, because it's quite large. And they've done a lot of projects that I'd love to do, but not necessarily fit into an RD service. So I attended their annual board meeting, or AGM, to talk about what they were doing and what I was doing and ways that we can work together. So that's kind of how I start building into the other big thing I'm doing right now, which is what I call my allocations on. I do my own budget. So with the community development and community works funds that are allocated to Area D, I plan a year in advance. I tend to do a lot of support work, like operational, such as for the Castle Senior Center, which doesn't have a service, and all these other entities that rural areas tend to do via grant taxation. So Lynx does a lot of that work. So they're kind of the beginning of the what's in the 2026 allocations. So attended the Lynx board meeting, Lardo Valley Fire Resiliency Committee. Mary Hewitt and I both attended the Castle and D Emergency Program Committee meeting, which I'm really grateful that we could keep attending those. There was a moment where we might not be, and it's just so grateful to hear all the conversations and the stakeholders that are there. So I always really enjoy those meetings. And I got to see our new wildland tender at that meeting, which CBT funded. FYI, David Off, that was the CBT funded asset. And it's beefy, it's so pretty. So for the volunteer market or festival that Director Hewitt had mentioned at that, I suggested that they start giving people rides around and it might get more people down there. I attended Remembrance Day with Director Hewitt. She's always my co-partner. We get to walk down to the cenotaph together and have little conversations. Really grateful for the Legion and all they do there. And I noticed there was a lot more people as well. I felt like there was quite a presence. It was warm. It's never warm on a Remembrance Day. It was warm. I have one community, Loki Lots, that I'm assisting in a very unconventional way in terms of they are a corporation, not a strata, but they're a corporation where they own the land, but the buildings are owned by residents. And they're a very old kind of subdivision where the original intention of what they wanted to see in that community is not necessarily what's occurring now. They don't have zoning, but they do want to look at updating their bylaws and working more as a collective towards what they want to support in the community. So I'm assisting them with that. They call it community planning, and I'm just reminding them it's not actually community planning because that's like a zoning thing. So I'm just doing some guidance work for them and helping them with vision and missions and what they might want to see from doing a survey with them and whatnot. Columbia River Treaty Local Governments Committee, we've had a few meetings there. Met the new BC Hydro Community Liaison. He seems really great, but I do have to say that when staff changes and you've had a decade of history with an entity that's external that you really rely on to know things like extended power outages and what that means to landlines and road services, it's not comforting. It was great to meet Dudley. He seems really lovely, but there was zero succession in terms of information transfer. So we're repeating everything all over again, getting EOC, not necessarily the EOC, but our staff, making sure they know who is who. We do a lot of that networking and stakeholder work when it comes to power outages, which is not our end. So I'm trying to push it back out again. He was lovely, and I did let him know, I'll give you a lot to work with. And attended the UBCM Infrastructure Project Phase 1 online webinar, which don't ask me what that was because I couldn't quite follow what they were talking about, but I attended it. I'll just say that. And then I wouldn't say this is for fun, but since we've noted, I don't curl, I hike mountains, that's what I do. But I did attend a documentary that was extremely hopeful, and it kind of speaks to what Director Megan speaks about the weekly vigils. It's called The Other, and it's a documentary on Israeli and Palestinian families who, over the years, have just noted that their collective grief is bringing them together, where they live in a society where system keeps them apart and they can't go in certain areas, but they have started to build these bridges between just their collective grief. And the stories in that documentary were absolutely incredible. It was done before October 7th, and then they went back to them after October 7th. So it was in Nelson last week. Tomorrow night is From the Ground Up, or Ground Zero, another one that kind of connects to that current situation. So it was highly informative. I really appreciated it. I wouldn't say it was fun, but it brought me up. I'm probably over 2 minutes, so there we go. So let's take our afternoon break, and then we will come back on camera. Good stuff.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
The other two, oh, there's Roger.
Yeah. So we've got.
Okay, we're ready. Welcome back, everybody.
Chair?
Muted.
Point of,
1 second.
oh, sorry.
I'm just gonna tell them, they're just outside with Joe.
Okay. We're unmuted. David, I'll pass the sound.
Great. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So we do have a request to reconsider the grants because there was a new piece of information immediately. Director Newell, over to you. You need a motion to reconsider.
I'd like a motion to reconsider under the community development grants. A funder joined us 1 minute
Just
after.
make the motion.
Thank you.
Reconsider.
Second reconsideration. Thank you.
And that is item number.
942.
Thank you, 942. So motion to reconsider is on the floor. This is 942. Do we have discussion?
2/3 vote.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now the motion is.
I would like to change the area F.
Move the motion with the amendment.
I'd like to move the motion with an amendment that we change the amount for Tagum Hall sound system from 12,625 to 6,125.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Discussion? We know. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'll take a motion to close the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you so much, Valley Boy and Public Observer and Savannah. You can go, she was just in here.
Yeah, she's on her desk when I sent them out to her. Faster.
I just have to say the thing.
Director Newell has to go.
Yeah, I was waiting. You guys remember who was here when Director Banks was here and he'd be like, I have a hair appointment, and he had like
Some hair.
some hair.
More hair than this.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit, yeah. Okay, and yeah, we're still waiting for Public Observer. I'll take a
Recording
recess.
stopped.
Motion to recess open meeting. Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Oh, yes.
I just closed the meeting. I didn't recess open.
Recess.
I'll just